I went to Haiti in 2001 and just saw, I felt like I was in a time machine. Went back 2,000 years. You saw women on donkeys with all this supplies on their heads and animals and no roads, no water, kids with no clothes. It was unbelievable. And I was there with a team for about 2 or 3 weeks. And over the last, 15, 16 years, I've watched that team help with healthcare and water and churches and schools and clothing. And about 3 years ago, I reached back out and I said, Haiti's, the kids are getting water. They're getting some healthcare. What can we do next? And he said, the schools are terrible, just terrible. Kids will graduate high school and have never used a computer, never done a chemistry experiment or biology experiment, and have never seen a photo of a chemistry experiment or biology experiment. And just like us, we moved into neighborhoods, and the first thing we think about in the neighborhood is what's the school like? Mm-hmm. And so you might think it's ridiculous. Why would bring technology to a country like Haiti? But all the parents are going, I want my kids to have a world-class education so that when they get out of school, they can provide for their families. Right. Else we're feeding them and clothing them, and then it's this endless cycle. They never break out of poverty. And so, 3 years I reached out and he said, we need help with building kindergartens and schools. And so I flew out there and really I used design thinking. I met with 50. I brought a friend from Chase, who's a VP, and an executive friend from GE, because we were self-funding this. And so I tried to bring some wealthier guys with me and team with me. And we went down there and we interviewed 50 people, principal, teachers, administrator, students, teachers, parents. And we just asked them what would be your perfect day at school. Very consistent with what I've been talking about earlier. And they just kept talking about what I remembered of like a library when I was a kid. I want to go to a place where there's books and I can get information and I can see videos and I can look at the internet. And that's what they really wanted. And as they're describing this to me, and they're like, I want a playground and I want like food. I don't have to sit and be hungry and in pain all day. Simple things like I want a playground. None of them had a playground. It's a hard life. It's a hard life there. And they're in these schools and they never learn to play or have fun. And so I'm leaving there and I'm realizing I can't do this. I can't give them a world-class education. There's no way. I might be able to help with some things, but I can't do that. And that's when I got really convicted, because I just remember thinking, if I had to move down there for some crazy reason and bring my family with, I can guarantee you that I would give my kids a world-class education. I would figure out a way. I would get internet, I would get a computer, and I would homeschool my kids. I can guarantee you that. So then I thought, if I would do it for my own kids, why am I not doing it for these kids? And I was ashamed. I was ashamed to even think that. And so, again, let's do the impossible. So we look at it and think, okay, we have no money. We got 3 or 4 of us. The government's not involved. No one's ever done this before, by the way. We went to a school in one of the major capital cities, and I saw a technology center. All these old computers that had been donated, none of them were powered on, and they had no internet. And if they had internet, it's enough for maybe one computer, not for a school of 300 or 500, right? So it just sat dormant. So no one's ever solved this. What makes us think we could solve it? No one's done it. We have no electricity, no internet money. And so we just didn't accept that. We didn't accept it. And so we went down probably 4, 5, 6 times over the last 2 years, and we solved the problems. We figured out we have enough electricity that we could generate for one computer that's 300 watts. Well, then we'll have to build 50 devices and a server that use 300 watts. And we did it. We used tablets and some little Raspberry Pis to the server, and we put some batteries in them, figured that out. Well, we don't have internet, or we don't have enough internet for 300 kids. Well, let's bring all the content into the room without the internet. So we did like this offline educational cloud. And then it was, well, the teachers have never used technology. They can't teach it. Well, we'll use content that's so easy the kids can teach themselves.
Love that.
And so we started with a technology center that was kind of like a library. And it really took about a year before people started using it. But I remember clearly I was there and I saw this little kid. I've watched him grow up from a newborn to now a toddler. And I watched him outside and he's sitting. It was so picturesque. He was sitting there, no clothing, with just a bowl on his lap and eating food. It looked like out of a cover of National Geographic, like a kid you would see, And later on that day, I go in the technology center, and I see him there with headphones and a tablet, and he's teaching himself English and how to count. And I couldn't believe this is the same kid, and this is the same day. Right. And to top it, next to him was this teacher who had never really used a tablet before, and she's got a TED Talk open. I don't know how she found the TED Talk. I didn't realize we even had TED Talks in the server, but she's learning about cybersecurity in a hut in a village in the middle of Haiti. She's teaching herself about technology. I couldn't believe it. So we started with the technology center, and then it was the next level was, okay, we got 3 kindergartens. Can we do it for that too? So we went back and we did 3 kindergartens, and each kindergarten has a server and a projector and a laptop for the teacher. They can teach themselves. It's got all of Wikipedia on there. It's got all of Khan Academy on it, and it's been unbelievable. So we want to go back. There's 8 more classrooms in that one school, but there's 20 other schools, and some of these schools are really in a jungle. So this school was in a rural area, but we were able to have a building and have rooms. Some of the other schools are really just a hut. And it's almost like, 100 years ago they had schools where everyone would be in one room and K through 12 would be there. Right. It's almost like that. And so now we got to figure out, we don't have 300 watts to work with. We have 30 watts to work with. How could we have a teacher with a little micro server and a little speaker and a tablet that's large teach the whole class almost like reading a story to them? And so those are the things we're looking at doing. We just don't accept that we can't give this to even the people in the most remote villages who have no electricity. We want to solve that problem too.